Well, good evening, everyone. It is a stormy evening for some, not much for North Texas at the moment, but we're going to talk about that and let you know what the chances are for severe weather in the immediate Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, which, as you can probably tell from the red boxes on the radar screen, we have a tornado watch until 10 o'clock for all of North Texas. Well, I say all of North Texas, really everything Metroplex and east, or excuse me, west. Greenville, Bonham, points east are not included, but I wouldn't be shocked to see that included later. So there's been quite a bit of action going on in the general southern plains, and so we're going to talk about that. So this is the current radar. Nothing in Dallas Fort Worth currently. That is good news. However, there is a supercell thunderstorm that we've been watching in Oklahoma that has been quite nasty. So we'll actually kind of focus on that just a little bit. And I'll put this in motion. So this is a storm that when it went over Lawton, which this radar starts right after that, dropped some softball-sized hail and dropped a few tornadoes. Very nasty storm. This is the kind of instability that we're looking at with the atmosphere we have. Quite unusual for middle of June. This is really more of an April, May type setup from a instability standpoint, but with it being mid-June, we have very hot temperatures. It's very humid, and that has just added some major fuel and instability for thunderstorms this intense in the middle of June. This is something we typically see in May or April, so that's why we got to be ultra on our guard. If you went outside today, which I know most of you did, it is incredibly humid today. We had a dew point at DFW Airport that was 80 degrees, which ties a record for the highest dew point ever. I think it's the fifth time that's happened. It doesn't get dew points. When dew point's 70, it can be rather uncomfortable. When it's 80, it's just off the charts uncomfortable. And again, if you've been outside, you definitely felt that today. So the storm in question right now is this supercell storm that is north, just hugging the Red River. And we'll zoom in a little bit on this. As you can see, there's some tornado warnings for this particular storm. And if we put the velocity on here, it's a little far from radar sight, but you do see a little bit of velocity up in this area, a little bit down here. But again, like I said, it's pretty far away from the radar sight. But again, possible tornado in that storm. That storm should stay pretty well north of Dallas Fort Worth. For a while there, it was a deviant mover, as we call it, and it is something that we, don't like to see because right movers, as I've talked talked a lot about left splitters the past couple of days. They're hail producers, right movers, as we call them, are tornado producers, and along with hail. And that is what we're seeing with this particular storm. It is staying north of not just Dallas Fort Worth, but north of Highway 82. And for my friends in Sherman, Denison, Bottom, watch this storm very, very carefully because it is still headed in your general direction. So if you live north of US Highway 82, or if you have friends that live north of Highway US 82 in Grayson County, even Gainesville, give them a heads up, give them a text, give them a call. Just let them know that some bad weather is heading their way, and really take shelter with this particular storm, because whether it's baseball, softball size hail, a tornado can do just as much damage. Hello, Amy. Hello, Debbie. How are y'all doing? Amy is not too far away. She is my neighbor. Debbie's not too far away either. So you're welcome, Debbie. It is, in a way, I don't want to be here because that means we have some bad weather coming. But then again, from the non-storm standpoint of it, we do need some rain, and we got a little bit of rain last couple of days, depending on where you're at. Some of you have gotten a lot of rain. Here at my house, for the month of June, we haven't even gotten an inch, and so as we've all kind of heard about, there is a heat wave that's probably going to start tomorrow. You could argue it started today with the humidity, but as far as temperatures, it's going to start in earnest tomorrow. So it'll get even worse as we go into next week. So we need some rain before it gets really dry again. So, but we don't need the hail. We don't need the tornadoes. Okay, so let's kind of catch everybody up on the slides. Hey, Kara, do you think that Wichita Falls storm, can't even talk, Wichita Falls storm falls apart? No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, and I'm going to talk about what we can look for the rest of the evening here in a minute, but that is a storm I'm going to come back to in just a second. So, but the short answer is, and no, I do not. But before we do that, let's go to the graphics and kind of get everybody caught up on watches and warnings and things. So this is a graphical representation of the tornado watch that's in effect until 10 o'clock. I would not be shocked at all to see that extended past 10 o'clock based on, or reissued past 10 o'clock based on current trends. Tornadoes are possible. We've already seen that, especially with the supercell storm that's just north of the Red River. Damaging wind gusts to 80 miles an hour. I haven't seen a lot of those reports, but I think as the night goes on, we'll see more and more of those. I think slowly we will transition from these single supercell storms to these storms growing upscale, as we call it, and that will increase the wind threat. And of course, we have a threat for hail greater than baseball size. We've already seen that in Oklahoma. Hopefully, that will not come visit North Texas, because that's just bad any way you look at it. All right, so let's see if I can get these to go forward here. And boy, I don't think I can. I'm going to have to do this. You know, I probably should have looked at this before I did it live, but that's okay. We will. Let's try this. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try one more thing. If not, then we will have to try something else. Let's see. Let's not do this. I think I'm going to do this the hard way. Yeah, I'm going to do this the hard way. Okay, that's fine. We'll do it the hard way. Okay, so this is the tornado probability from the Storm Prediction Center. Again, the brown is a 5% chance. You are seeing that play out in Oklahoma, not so much in North Texas. So, and that's, I'm going to go back and do this the hard way, apparently, and manually move these slides. So next we're going to look at the, let's see, the hail threat. Let's do that. There we go. So these are on a hail map. You do not, hail potential map, I should say. You do not want to see bright purpley red colors. That is for sure. So if you've listened to me before, the hatched area, the black hatched area is never a good thing. That is at least a 10% chance of seeing hail 2 inches in diameter or greater. And of course, that encompasses all North Texas. And then when you get into the reds and purples, the red is a 30% chance of seeing hail 1 inch in diameter, purple 45% chance of seeing hail 1 inch in diameter within 25 miles of a point. So that does not mean that everybody that falls within those colored hatched areas will see that. It's just that the odds are greater when you get up into 30%, 45%, and when you get into the hatched area, obviously the hail could be bigger. And so it's, it is something that you don't want to see, but hey, it's what it is. Definitely, if it's a possibility, we definitely want to talk about it. All right, so let's see if I can't get this next wind slide to pop up here. Yep, and it looks real similar to the hail. It's a little bit bigger. Again, these are the probabilities of seeing severe wind gusts 57 miles an hour or greater. Again, same thing, 30%, 45% in purple, but then you see the hatched area, which means winds can exceed 70 miles an hour. And that is definitely a possibility as these storms potentially, again, as we say, grow upscale and start to mature a little bit. So that's why we have this, unfortunately, we have this probability of seeing these strong winds and very large hail. Not for everybody, but unfortunately, some of us could see it in North Texas. Okay. Hey, Kara, you're in North Richland Hills. Okay. Well, they're kind of in the same boat as everybody else. They have about the same probability of seeing severe weather as anybody does in North Texas right now. So in that respect, it doesn't really matter where you're at in North Texas. But what does matter is if these storms do stay isolated, then, it could be a matter of, 2 or 3 miles, to where if you're on the right side of those 2 or 3 miles, then you could see nothing. If you're on the wrong side of those 2 or 3 miles, you might see the big hail and the big wind. So that's why right now it's impossible to say where you might be, or wherever you are, is there going to be a greater chance of seeing something? And right now it's pretty much all equal as far as who would see what. All right, so let's go back to the radar here, and we're going to do an expanded view here to kind of get everybody an idea of what's going on. So again, this is the site from the Fort Worth radar site, and we'll put this in motion. As you can see, not a whole lot else going on. We do have some storms way down south. they should leave us alone for the most part, and they've kind of petered out a little bit. And I will say, some of the reason these storms haven't gotten going yet is we do still have a little bit of a capping inversion overhead, so that is definitely helping keep storms at bay so far. I think as the night goes on, that will start to change, and that's what we have to watch out for. But right now, we're dealing with the individual supercell type thunderstorms. So you can see the storms, the supercell storm in Oklahoma. It's going to inch across the Red River. So again, if you either live in Denison, live in Sherman, or know somebody who does, just, if they may not be paying attention, they may not be watching the weather, just shoot them a text, give them a heads up. You do have some tornado warnings that are northwest of you. There's no warnings for for Grayson County, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was here pretty soon. Now let's go back to what Kara was asking earlier. So the storm near Wichita Falls. Let's take a closer look at that. And to be a little more accurate, we will go to the Wichita Falls radar. So let's zoom in here a little bit. All right, so this particular storm, and we're going to put this in motion because this storm did want to die a little bit, as you'll see. It was west Wichita Falls, got a little intense, started weakening right there, and then guess what happens? If you see that line, that gust front from those storms, that supercell storm in Oklahoma, it just reinvigorated that storm. And so that's why I think, Kara, that storm is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Now, here's the thing. As you can see, the movement of it right now is toward the east. This storm most likely will do one of two things, maybe both. It will become a right mover, and we call it deviant motion to the right, in this case to the southeast, and or it may split. And so if it does split, then that the left split will continue to move northeast, probably be another prolific hail producer, and then the right moving storm would be more toward us. So that's why we have to kind of watch that really close. So let's stop this here. All right, let's look at the particulars. Nothing too bad right now. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter size hail. If you listen to me a lot, that is the minimum criteria for a severe storm. But I'm not so sure that it might not get nastier as we go along. And I think I could zoom in on this. So you can maybe, it depends, you can maybe start to see a split right here. We'll have to watch the next couple of frames to see, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's undergoing a splitting motion. We'll have to watch that one. So, but again, if that particular storm splits, the left split, we won't have to worry about. It's the one that we would have to worry about, if I can get my drawing tool to work, is this one right here. So if you've ever driven to Wichita Falls, it's, by the car, it takes about 3 hours. So if this were to start to head our way, that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of time frame we'd be talking about, probably after 9 o'clock, if it got that far. And that's not to say beyond that is that what we have to be watching for, and we'll go ahead and put the Fort Worth radar back on here. Let me check something here real quick. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry, guys. Okay, my bad. I forgot to switch it over. So I'm going to go through that really quick one more time. My apologies. That's the beauty of live TV, live streaming. Everything I said was true. You just couldn't see it. Okay, so again, real quick, I'm not going to repeat everything I said, but this is a supercell thunderstorm in Oklahoma. And you can tell they just issued a tornado warning for, I don't think that one's going off for that, but we'll see. Oh, let me stop here. Oh, yep, like I thought, they're extending the tornado watch east. That's what I thought. So all North Texas is under tornado watch. Tornado quarter size hail. This is for northern Cook County. So this is north of Gainesville. So again, if you live anywhere, or know people, I should say, that live anywhere in this area, then have them be on high alert for this particular storm. The storm has had a history of producing tornadoes, softball-sized hail, all that good stuff. So just have them, again, if you know somebody there, just shoot them a text, shoot them an email, give them a call if you still do that stuff, and let them know that that's be on the lookout for that storm. Okay, so again, whoops, my apologies for not having the screen set over. Okay, so again, let's go back to, just wanted to show real quick. I know I verbalized this, but the Wichita Fall storm. Again, like I said, we just had to watch this one. Nothing to be terribly concerned about yet, but again, as I mentioned, may. Well, that's not going to work. They had the beginnings of a split right there. We won't have to go that way. Wouldn't have to worry about that one, but this one was going to go this way. And that would be the tornado producer potentially and still be a big hail producer. But if we scroll out many, many miles away, but something we'll have to watch. Something I'll be watching for sure. So again, if you look, going back to the Fort Worth radar site, don't want that one. There we go. I don't see a whole lot of anything, which is good. And I'm going to just look at the, we'll refresh the satellite picture here and see what we got. Yeah, thank you guys. That's why I have comments up here, because I want to make sure that's great. Oh my gosh, there's so many things you have to kind of watch out for, and you can forget to change things when you're, especially when you get to talking about it. So I appreciate y'all's patience. So again, you can kind of get an idea of the satellite picture. Of course, this monster storm in Oklahoma, you can see on satellite, just it's like a bomb going off. It just just gets really, really big. But the thing I would say, and I think I can do this. I'm going to try to animate this, or not animate, but draw on this a little bit. See if I can do this. So you can see. Oh, head over here. All right. So yeah, I think I can do this. All right. So there's a dry line right there. You can kind of see from the satellite picture that this milky type air is to the west of it, and you had some storms there that were trying to form. Hours ago that kind of petered out. Again, got a little bit of cap. So that's why some of these storms haven't really gotten too crazy, at least in our area. Now, the thing that we want to watch out for, though, is anything that's going to form in that area right there. As you can see from the last couple of loops, nothing so far, but I think that's the area to watch the next couple of hours. If we start to see development there, which I think we could, I should say, then we have to be on high alert for that. Of course, I'll be watching that. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. If you look closely in the panhandle, you can see this gust front of dust that's coming down. I thought that would work. There we go. It's coming down right there. So a good old-fashioned dust storm in the panhandle. And what else is new when it comes to that? That's for sure. All right. So that's really about it for now. Check the comments here. That's a good question, Paul. Will the possibility of cap hold? It's possible. There is no doubt about that. I think that is why so far, you've seen this monster storm in Oklahoma that's kind of crossing the Red River, and you see these storms in south central Texas that have gotten a little vigorous and then kind of petered out a little bit. And then in the very first part of the frame of the satellite picture, you do see those storms that were firing on the dry line in West Texas. They just, other than that one storm that's right behind the big storm, just kind of petered out. And that's the cap at work saying, hey, it's you can start to form, and you definitely have some rising air, but if the cap still holds, then that is something that definitely would knock storms down. I think we're going to see. Now, will that be the case the rest of the night? I really tend to doubt it, but it's not. We've seen that before in North Texas. We've seen it to where the cap holds more than we think, and not a whole lot happens. Like I said, I would be too terribly disappointed to see some rain out of this. I don't want the storms, but definitely want to see some rain out of it. All right, so let's go back to radar before we wrap it up. And there you go. I put it on the screen before I start talking. All right, so I did want to just show you one more thing to kind of keep an eye on. And this is really probably more for the overnight hours. So we see these storms in northwest Oklahoma that are kind of nasty. They had a couple tornado warnings with it. And here you go. So this is all going this way. You see this supercell, you see this supercell, you see this supercell. Of course, this big monster supercell right there. So the thinking is that what might happen is, these supercells aren't going anywhere unless the cap kind of works on them a little bit. But these supercells probably aren't going anywhere, especially that monster one in Oklahoma or right across the Red River. But what we might see is we might see these storms grow upscale and head our way. If that's the case, then that would be after midnight, and that would be as the famous Reed Timmer says, be a big wind bag, and that's where we have wind gusts to possibly 80 miles an hour. Don't want to see that, but that would be the main threat if those storms hold together and come through during overnight hours. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about that before we get there. All right, so let's go back one more time to the local radar here in Dallas Fort Worth and make sure we're not nothing has popped up or anything. And nope. So here's what I would say. We'll end with this. We'll put the velocity on here, and you got all these boxes here, but you do see some pretty good rotation right there. So again, if you know anybody that lives within this blue area, Whitesboro, Sherman, Denison, Bonham, even Howe to a lesser extent, pretty much from the Collin County line north. Just there's not any warnings yet. There may be. Just again, if you know somebody that lives there, or certainly if you're watching from there, then just keep an eye on everything. Nothing to panic about, but just keep an eye on this storm because it might be headed your way. And then it's something to just keep an eye on, and I'll be watching it, of course. All right, so with that, I think I'll wrap this particular update up. And to be honest, I would hope I would not have to have another one, but I probably will. Yay, David. Caps of Goner east of 35. Yeah, that's probably pretty true. Those of us in Denton may miss the battle zone this time. I hope so, because you got the battle zone last time. So you don't need two in a row, that's for sure. And quite frankly, I hope we all miss the battle zone, to be honest. Not the rain zone, but the battle zone, that's for sure. All right, so we'll put this reflectivity back on here right before we sign off. And again, nothing popping up yet, although it could pop up at any time, so that's what we got to watch. All right, so with that, don't see anything else. All right, so with that, as always, I'm watching the weather so you don't have to. Hope everyone has a great evening. We don't have any storms. It gets to rain, no storms, but I'll be watching it. And if need be, I'll be back and update as necessary. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will talk to you soon.